Welcome home to Tall Poppies. We are the home of upstarts and startups, and today's guest is Hunter Owens from Denver, and he is the co-founder of a new PropTech app called Show. This kid and his partner are already making big things happen in the PropTech world. Without further ado, here is the interview, and please at the end, hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell. So Hunter, we'll start off with what is a little bit of your background, just really quickly, and then we'll get to what we're visiting about today. So what's a bit of your journey so far to here? How old are you and what have you done looking back?
Absolutely, yeah. So I am 24 years old. I grew up in Denver, Colorado, beautiful place. And I originally went to school for audio production and was kind of hoping to do video game design, and I did concert audio. I did DJing for a little while. All sorts of fun stuff. But I originally settled on real estate, which was great. My mom's a realtor, grandma's a realtor. So I had a great mentor, kind of struggled with what I wanted to do at an early age. And she said, why don't you get your real estate license? And I did, and it was such a blessing. First 3 months were really difficult. Was able to sell some homes after that and have a really great year. I had a kick-ass year. Sold about 10 homes in my first year, which was so fun. And that really just gave me hope of my entrepreneurial spirit. And so I just kind of settled on the real estate world and all those connections I made, and then just started getting into what really drove me, which is the entrepreneur world.
So are you in commercial or real estate, residential or?
Yeah, so I started in residential. All those first 10 deals were residential. Now in recent years, I've been getting more into commercial. So commercial deals take much longer. They're a lot higher paying, a lot more high stress. There's a lot of lawyers involved. But it's a great avenue for money, but it just takes a while. Like an average closing for residential is 35 days, about 30 to 35 days. In commercial, it can be several months before you see something.
And it's also dependent upon the market too.
Yep.
Because here at the moment, it's you can sell something, flip it in a day. And
yeah.
But Denver's on its rise, isn't it?
Oh my gosh! So what was such a blessing when I first started. I was 20, turning 21 when I first started real estate, which a lot of my mentors told me was a really awesome thing that I started so young. Back then I thought it was the worst because I talked to a client and they're like, you're so young. And I was like trying to wear my suit and trying to show them I'm not young. But they said it was one of the greatest things. They all wished that they had started younger because you learn so much. You learn a lot of the tough stuff when you don't have kids, you don't own a house, you're mobile, you don't have a lot of assets that are tying you down. And I was really blessed to have that. So in Colorado, I was really blessed in 2015. That was one of the biggest booms across the nation. All the homes across the nation were just going off the shelves. It was insane. I mean, I had bidding wars with clients in my first few months that, it was 47 offers and they were cash and they were 80K over list price. It was just nuts.
So where are these people mostly coming from for that experience?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it California? Is it the reputed?
Some people might give me crap for it, but it's definitely a lot of California, lovely people. A lot of my clients were from California, a couple from New York, had a few from Texas, a couple natives that were crazy enough to say, let's sell our house and buy one in Colorado. But yeah, a lot of people from California that were just done from Southern California, which is strange, but I like Southern California. It's not too bad there.
It's a beautiful place. But that congestion sort of gets, and the housing, it's so much cheaper here.
Yes.
So 10 sales in your first, and 3 months before your first, you really did well.
I did it 9 months actually to the dot. I had my last closing in that first year in 2015, or I think it was 2015. It was in December. It was the highest priced home I sold. It was a cash deal too. It was really, really neat. And actually that's a really great story because I really learned, when you make that much money, it's an amazing blessing. But it's also when you're immature. At least for me, I was very immature and naive, and I fell from grace. I like to say it, as I thought I had figured it out, that the next year, Q1 of 2016, was going to be an easy year for Hunter because I had sold 10 homes and I was the best. And I learned that was a big cash deal. The listing agent beat me up because I was so young and I missed a couple things. And I have great mentorships, but there's some things that you miss. And he really drilled me on it. And it was a very uncomfortable situation. Got through that, with big confidence because it was a big closing. And then I got into Q1 and Q2, and I didn't sell any homes, not a single home. I had many clients, and they decided to rent, or they found another realtor. I just kind of failed because I was so arrogant. And I thank the Lord, it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. In the moment, I was living off ramen and Taco Bell and which I worship Taco Bell now. That's one of my sticks. Yeah, but it was
not a good health choice.
Oh no, I wanted to create a workout plan. I've always thought about it of how to maintain a six-pack on a Taco Bell diet. I've always wanted to do it, but I haven't done that yet. So
That's going to be a challenge.
We'll see. Yeah, well, I'll talk to my fitness friends. But the whole thing of the great fall from grace, during the moment I was so depressed and sad, and I don't even think I sold a home till the end of Q3 in 2016. And it just broke my heart. I mean, I was just in the trenches. I was so deep in the weeds. I couldn't even see myself. My mom couldn't help me. Dad, nobody could help me because it was all my own doing. I had to get a job, some valuable lessons. I started doing life insurance for a month. I thought it was going to be the saving grace. What it did teach me was I didn't know anything and I didn't have good work ethic. And it taught me to grind. I was driving every single weekend to Missouri, Joplin, Missouri, and Oklahoma City to sling life insurance and to go out there and drive, hours and not sell a darn insurance policy. But it taught me, how to call consistently, connect with my people, and work my butt off. And then after that Q3, I sold near 20 homes.
So execution.
I executed.
Working your ass off in execution.
Yes, and then that was, I love what the Lord did for me, but it did suck in the moment. It really sucked.
It does.
And
there's times when you're working your ass off, and you like driving around like with me and my oil and gas, my deals.
I love that.
You're just pedaling and hustling and hustling and hustling, and you have to look at it statistically that you're getting closer and closer and closer to something happening, and you just have to, you don't know how many you've got to tick off. Did you learn that, or was it something that you had discovered?
Yeah, I think I learned, you have to earn stuff. Yeah. You have to earn the respect, the money, and I think in my faith, I believe deeply in you have to go through the fire and the valley of shadow to come out on top, because if you get to that other side with the money or with whatever you define success as, and you didn't learn all those lessons, then your character is no value to the world.
So it sounds like you transformed arrogance into self-respect.
Mm-hmm. And humility. I humbled myself
because you need that humility to soften off the arrogance into self-respect.
Yep, and it gave me a greater respect for others and their work, because I used to be jealous. You'd see another agent doing better than you when I wasn't making any money. I even had a friend when I was living, I couldn't even afford ramen. It was so, at some points it was so scary.
We've shared some of our horror stories, which guys out there, if you're going through this, we've all been there, and
Truly.
It sucks. But just stick at it.
Yeah, and it's amazing how you can get kicked down when you're so low. I had a friend, one of my best friends, buy a house with another realtor when I needed him most, and it tore me apart. I mean, I remember just crying. I just would wake up crying, go to bed crying. I couldn't even call my mom because she would cry. She was so upset. So I had no support system because I was just such a downer.
And it is lonely, isn't it?
Oh.
It's so lonely. And
yes.
The thing is, you have to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had to hide just how, it was really tough.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to go out there as though you're on the same par as they are, and
mm-hmm.
because you're there to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And as a real estate agent, you're there to solve a problem for your clients.
Yep.
For two lots of people, you've got the seller and the buyer,
mm-hmm.
and whatever side of that transaction you're on, you're still working to help solve a problem for both of them. Mm-hmm. And so, what was it like for you to have to keep that sunny face to the world?
That's a great point. I think in sales, we get stuck with the numbers. You have a manager. I was lucky, my mentor, managing broker, wasn't on my case too much. He gave me grace. But when you're talking in a sales transaction, you can just think about the numbers. I have a $400,000 contract, and if it's 2.8%, I'm gonna make this much money. But my mom once said, stop doing that and start thinking about the humans that are on the other side. These are their homes, and they have to move, and there's family memories in those homes. Stop thinking about yourself and think about them, and it will come. And that's how I've tried to live my life. Is whenever I enter a conversation with someone, I always try to ask, what can I do for you?
And I've noticed that about you. You're very good. You're very generous.
Thank you.
About promoting other people, and that's what we're trying to do here. But
love what you're doing.
But thank you.
Yes.
And so it's really lovely when you can sort of all ships rise with the tide. It shouldn't be an obligation. It should be a gift.
Yes.
And we take should out of the conversation, but I like to see it as a gift to really build up other people, and because you do expect that in return, and most of the time you don't get it.
Right.
And that's the reality. So guys out there, give out, build up, but you can still ask to have that reciprocated, because that is part of a transaction too. With other entrepreneurs is, hey guys, we've all got to sort of help us all sort of get up to the next step. But so when you were going through this hard time, and we're here to discuss your new product that's going to be launched, what was the series of how you what was the process of you coming up with this concept, and what is the concept?
Okay, so this is a great point. So in real estate, let's just give some background on how kind of real estate operated for me. So when I first started, in those first 3 months that I didn't make any money, I was very fortunate to have my managing broker, who's a top producing agent, and I had an abundance of time and he didn't. So he had a lot of clients, a lot of buyers that needed to see homes. And so he had asked me, hey Hunter, do you want to show us some houses? I'll pay you hourly, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, oh, heck yeah, I will. And I made enough to not have to get a part-time job. And I was within my industry learning how to show homes, how to analyze homes, how to talk to clients. I was doing it all in-house and making a decent living.
So it gave you almost like an apprenticeship type situation.
Yeah, it funded my life, and it also added to my career. And so, years later, got through all that. I still showed homes for him every now and then. And I'd call him because I was busy. I was like, hey, I'm out of town. Will you show a home for me? And I come from a smaller brokerage, and there's not as many agents. And so if he couldn't show it, I'd have to ask the next one and the next one and the next one. And they'd want to be paid more. I mean, I had one guy who always wanted to be paid $100, and that's kind of steep for one showing. So it was just kind of this mess. And so I met an amazing man by the name of Patrick Loriani, and he's my business partner, and he's an amazing man. And we met at a coffee shop through my roommate's younger brother. And he was also a real estate agent, my age, same age. Actually, he's a little bit, 6 months younger than me. And we connected, and we just poured into each other all of our kind of trade secrets. And it was just cool to see a young man like me in real estate actually making a living. And that was amazing. So we had this idea.
So excuse me, what does Patrick do?
Patrick's a real estate agent as well.
So he's a Patrick.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's so in Colorado. I live in Lakewood, which is just kind of on the west side, southwest side, and he lives in Brighton. It's farm town up north. So we're two really different states in terms of real estate. And so we got to compare notes and everything, and we shared the same idea of, I used to show homes for my brokerage, my managing broker, he used to do the same. He started asking his managing broker to show homes, yada, yada. And then he calls me up one day. We just all over this coffee, we told our life secrets together. And he calls me, he's like, Hunter, I have an idea. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, what if we create an app like Uber, that we always say Uber because it's easier to understand, like Uber, that helps facilitate showings and gives time back to their realtors. And I was like, well, dude, I've been doing that for years. Heck yeah, I'd love to do that. And we sat down, we brainstormed for about 3 or 4 months. We did market research. We interviewed thousands of agents over the U.S. and Canada about their real estate businesses and showing homes. What's the thing they hate about real estate most? Most of them said showing homes. Some of them.
This is funny because you think that showing homes would actually be that, whether you're interfacing with the client and you're finding out as you're going through the home, oh, they actually don't like X, Y, Z, or no, they don't want a pool, or it actually helps them refine.
It is fun.
Yeah.
There's some fun aspect. It is cool to see the client, but I will be honest, and I don't want to sound arrogant, but there gets to a point when your life, your time, the most valuable commodity, is more important than a client sometimes. Getting married, having a baby, and saying, I have to go show a home when I should be here with my wife and my child. Or, my grandma was in the hospital one time, and I almost had to not go because I had to show a home, because that client, if I didn't show that home to them, which I knew them, they would go find another broker and they'd get under contract and they'd lose that home, and I would lose money for my family. And that's one of the most heartbreaking things a realtor can go through. So yeah, showing homes are great. And we talked to a lot of agents that like showing homes, but their production might have been lower. And these big agents and brokerages, they can't show homes. Like my managing broker, he hates showing homes. He's got 5 kids and he coaches. He makes a lot of money, but he loves his kids and he loves his time. He takes vacations, and he just can't show homes, and that's the toughest part.
So without sounding arrogant, so it sounds like people. Is this true that people don't realize the amount of time real estate agents have to spend in the job of being a real estate agent? That you do have to claim back some time to have a family life like everybody else does, but it actually is really quite time consuming, more than people realize. Is that correct?
Yeah, so 9 to 5 jobs are consuming. Yes, they're Monday through Friday, and you're there. It's consistent though. You always know when you're there. You always know when you can get off lunch. In my industry, sometimes I'm showing homes till 9 or 10 o'clock, and on the weekends and holidays. I once had to show a home on New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. And they bought the homes, but
sounds like medicine. Sounds like being a doctor.
Yes,
yeah.
and doctors have to have the time off. That's why there's so many professionals. They leverage each other's times. And all we're trying to do, the product is called Show, and what we're trying to do at Show is create a culture of uniting realtors to get back their time. When I first started, I had an abundance of time, and I wanted to show homes. And now, as I'm getting married and doing so many things in my life and looking at, what's more valuable than money is time, is let's give back to that, and let's leverage each other, and let's increase our businesses. And most of all, let's help our customers and our clients, find that right home and quickly and get it there, because the market's darn competitive. And I'm sure it is here too.
Yes.
Colorado, it's nuts, but we're only 4th in the nation. I heard Seattle, Washington is worse. And you have to be competitive.
Yeah, it's getting crazy in some places. But also in places where people are leaving, there's an exodus. Those homes also need to be sold.
Absolutely.
So what aspects of Uber are you going to be, what you find attractive that could have some application to Show?
Yeah, so the Uber business model is brilliant. But think years ago, could you imagine having a stranger come pick you up and getting in their car and taking you to your home?
Especially, yeah, because it was tough, because we're all told not to get into a stranger's car.
It blows my mind, but that business model worked because people love convenience. Millennials love convenience. Why Amazon's so big?
Older people like convenience.
Heck yeah, everybody does, and it's so powerful. And so we thought with Show, what we loved about Uber. So I actually drove for Lyft for a month. I didn't know then it would be market research for Show, but I thought it would be a good way to make money. But I just didn't like it that much because I have a big truck and it's just And so we took the business model of Uber, the geolocating, which is a beautiful technology, just how they integrate with Google Maps API. And they use all these systems together to track the driver and the mileage and the hour. We thought the same business model for Show, because it was easy to understand, and it's a great, powerful tool for realtors. You just get right on their phone.
Do you recall how long the ramp up was for people to become comfortable with Uber, from it launching to?
Yeah, I remember.
It wasn't that long.
No, Lyft started on the West Coast, Uber in New York and the East Coast, and they kind of clashed. A couple of years later. It took about 5 years for market saturation for both. I think Uber has about 60%, Lyft's about 40%, maybe less market share. But it didn't take that long. And I remember the first time I used Uber, my friends were all using it way before me. And I was like, I've never done this. And they're like, it's great. And I did it and got in. I was like, holy crap, that was fast. And then when they came out with their advanced algorithms with the price prediction and the beautiful thing about Lyft, when you're a driver, it tracks, and we're doing the same thing for Show, it tracks your mileage, it tracks where you were at the time, it shows you on a map where you actually drove in it's pink because Lyft's color is pink, it shows you all the tracking, and then it zips it into a 1099 form, and you can do your taxes right there, give it to your CPA, done.
That's brilliant. And also for a real estate agent, that tracking aspect can be really handy, because it's often not safe for it's not all the time, but if you're there by yourself with an odd person, there have been a few of those incidences which was unsafe.
Yes.
So if you can do that you're going to do the tracking, so you can sort of see where the real estate agent
You brought up
is?
a great point. Another functionality, we want to have like a panic button or some sort of alert system. There is apps out there that do that, but we're just looking to
integrate it.
We want to integrate the whole thing, the culture of it. We want to have that all into our app. And we've also thought about being able to live watch as the hiring agent, because you think with this product there's two sides, just like Lyft and Uber. There's riders and there's drivers. So the drivers are the hiring brokers who need the showing. So let's just say, for example, I'm your agent and you need to see a house. I would get on the app and hail a showing assistant like the drivers in Uber, and another licensed real estate broker would show the home for you while I'm away, I'm on vacation, or I'm simply at home and I want to show the house.
And so if you're not familiar with the property, does this app provide all the background statistics and answers the questions for this agent who's unfamiliar with the property?
Yes, so we have, behind show's culture, we're trying to limit what the showing assistant has to do, make it very simple for them. They have information on the price, the bedroom, just basic questions. They have all the information to get on in the home. If there's any special instructions like a dog or a cat or the lockbox is in a hidden location, all those little details. We're going to actually integrate with every state, MLS system, which the MLS is the Metro List Service. That's how realtors list their listings on a service so all realtors can see it. And we're going to integrate with all their APIs so that we'll have a little widget, a little icon where you can click on our technology, and it'll zip either through your phone or your website and zip in pre-populate the MLS information and the lockbox information. So there's a technology called Showing Time and centralized showing service. And that's how actually realtors schedule their showings.
So it's not a competitive platform?
No, we're first to market.
So that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
So PropTech, which is property technology or real estate technology, is really making an upsurge, and it's been noted quite a lot in financial circles as the new tech hub to watch, the tech platforms to watch. So what are some other examples do you know of PropTech that are out there but that they're not a competitor for you?
Yeah, so the beautiful thing, and I go back, I say the show culture a lot because one, our values of our company are trying to be concreted in integrity and transparency, in creating a usable system for everybody, and a good system, not just, Zillow can be really bashed on by realtors, and it's a great tool. I love it.
But everyone, they all want the algorithm of Zillow, though.
Exactly.
That is probably one of the most powerful and well-kept algorithms out there.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of other technologies out there. Zillow's a big competitor. There's offer pads. There's Zillow does an Insta offers where you're able to offer on a home based on the website. There's Rex, I believe, in California.
And
that
Amazon, I heard. Is Amazon getting in on it?
They're thinking about. I think they accidentally released some documents a long time. They covered it up.
We were listening to something this week about that. Yeah,
it's so interesting, and Show. Another big component of Show, which is so cool, is data collection. So we're the only company in the world that's able to collect accurate and immense data on showings. When a home was shown at this time, when the weather looked like this, how many times was it shown at this, this time of year.
So it could be a useful economic predictor or
There's no company in the world that's doing that kind of accurate and detailed information on showings, because a home does not sell unless it's shown.
So you'll have security measures put in place, so you're not going to be identifying.
Yeah, it's not going to be any sort of personal information. It's going to be, it is generalized data, but it's specific to showings, which are the under contract.
That'd be great for governments. I mean, federal, local, county, state, for a variety of uses.
Yep.
Town planning. So that it has, private and public uses as well. So
yeah, we're very excited.
How many policemen do we have to hire for the next year, and hospitals and schools and.
Yep, and you can tell how hot a market really is. Yeah, homes sold. You get generalized data of all these homes that sold, but to organize that data, it's quite difficult. But if you are able to pinpoint this center of home had this much traffic at this time. It can help agents just say, I want to do an open house at this time, or I'm going to make myself available.
You can see what the hot days of the week are during seasons.
Yep.
And I'm sure the insurance companies would be really, really interested in this as well.
Yeah,
and
we're just so lucky
companies,
to have that.
Well, it's not luck, it's forethought and action.
True.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
right.
keeping your eyes open.
We're intentionally trying to, be disruptive. I mean, simply put, we're trying to be disruptive technology, because when you ask other examples, there's just not a lot.
So how are you going to make money from this?
Yes, so it's just like we really try to model a lot like Uber. So we take an hourly fee, there's an hourly rate that the hiring broker pays, and then the showing agent gets paid an hourly rate as well. We take a fee out of that, a middleman fee. It equates about 42% or so. It just depends. We're going to vary between state and country. We'll be international by country and state, and we'll just kind of make it. We want to have a lot of feedback on what works. We did a lot of research in Colorado because we know it. We're natives, and we knew that the price point we put it at would be good. But in California, where the median household income is much different than it is in Missouri, so we're gonna play with those numbers, but we're just taking a fee, just like Uber does.
So you're going to create your own flexible algorithms and.
Yep. It's integrated all in the app, and we also have talked about, when I sit down and I look at marketing. Marketing is one of the most crucial things for a company, and I look at how am I being marketed to as a realtor? Well, people who market me, they either call me or they email me, and it's spam.
And email is it's reportable, isn't
it? It is,
yeah.
And if I don't have permission, or if it's not relative enough, it's like, what the heck is this doing here? But a daily consumer watches TV. There's ads on their YouTube. There's ads here and there.
So are you going to do Facebook, Instagram?
Oh yeah. We love the social media aspect. We're going to have outside marketing. We will do the emails. There is still value in that. Do conventions, organic touches, talking to people, interacting with big brokerages, saying how can we help you, just adding value. But we'll also inside the app have advertising as well, where relative companies to the real estate agent, what realtors need is specific marketing to them. So when an inspector, because inspectors are so important, and mortgage lenders are they're more important than the realtor sometimes. They're such an important asset, can actually connect with realtors on the app through our marketing campaigns so that they can add value on our app as well.
Could the consumer use it? Because I'm thinking of this in the context of someone's coming to town, they're looking for some places to look at, but they don't really quite want to sign up with a real estate agent, but they do want to look at some homes. Could they get a non-committed real estate? Is that the law?
You were thinking right where we're thinking phase 2. So we've talked about
and then for sale by owner, where you've got at least someone there that's a third party that can ensure that if you're a homeowner that's away, that there's a third party there that's making sure that.
You've brought up such a good point. And this is why I love you, because you always think out of the box, and we're thinking just the same way. So we have different phases with show. We have different avenues we're taking. We're going to do a consumer thing like that, like you said, where people don't want to commit. We're going to do, let me give you an example, luxury homes that are over $1 million in Colorado. There's always
Isn't that every home in Colorado?
Oh, no, right? Feels like
California.
It. Yeah, right? So every time you show a luxury home, there's a listing agent that walks through the home with you, and they interact with you or they don't. They're just there to watch you. And that's a time suck. And so we'll be able to hire people who just to watch your people come through those homes, because I'll schedule $6 million homes and they take an hour each, and that agent doesn't know when I'm going to be there. I schedule it, but I call them and I'm saying, hey, I'm on my way. And so they're just waiting nearby.
But this is actually creating an opportunity for people who may not like to do the contract side. They could actually make a career out of this and be the hot go-to shower,
yes,
whatever you're going to call, you could have to make
showing assistant. There's so many different.
That show.
Yeah, there's so many different people.
You could give them a little nom de plume or something like that.
Yes.
Pink bow or something.
Yes.
But this could really be a subset of real estate where people could really shine and really make a name for themselves and do really well.
Yeah, we want to change the way real estate's done, and we're bold enough to stand on that, and we're going to change it in a good way. We want to help realtors, help consumers, and help the whole collective as a team.
What do you?
Go ahead.
Thought of something here.
Yes.
you could almost have a button where the viewer of the home could put in what they want in the contract, zip it up to the cloud, and then have it the pro forma generated contract issued.
That's a perfect idea.
And then make it really much more AI and still legal. Have it really go to the attorney sort of level, and see if that this is something that's amenable, and sort of like tee up what's acceptable to both sides and go.
Yep. You bring up a really good point. What is the real estate agent going to look like in 10 years? Yeah. We're in the most advanced part of technology we've ever experienced. Yes, it's the current time right now.
Don't be scared, real estate agents.
Don't. Because what we're trying to do as Show's culture is we're trying to keep you relevant. When Amazon, and they're going to, gets in the game, Amazon's a monopoly right now, and they will dominate real estate. We're trying to keep you relevant. So when Amazon has their agents or their robots showing homes or talking to clients, whatever that may be, you're able to facilitate your buyers in a whole new way because you have people on your side. You have a team. You have personal showing assistants at your fingertips at all times. Just like Uber, you have personal drivers. You could make $10 an hour and you have a freaking personal driver. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you for watching the video. I know that you're excited and following these people. Hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in your journey too.